Hey bike farmers, thanks for clicking in. What we have here today is a bit of an oddball. I'm not saying that this bike is an oddball, but the whole situation is a bit of an oddball. First of all, I see comments periodically, why do you only do hybrids and mountain bikes? I never see road bikes on your channel. Well, first of all is they don't sell well on the used market. Second of all, most people that have these have upgraded them to something more modern, moved on to something with disc brakes, a little wider tire or something. Thirdly, road biking in general is way less popular than it used to be back in the Lance era, which is when this bike was born. There's all those reasons. Then, this one's actually ridden, right? It's still ridden and enjoyed. That hardly ever happens. And the owner wants to maintain this one and understands investing in some new tires and some brake pads and a chain and a few other things gives them more bang for their buck than replacing the whole bike with something modern because they like this old bike. And I think the reason they like it is because it's got a triple chain ring on it. So lots of low gears, lots of high gears. This is a Trek 1000C. It's an entry-level road bike, but the C stands for comfort. It's got an adjustable stem, which they actually have laid out pretty forward here, which is kind of surprising. Usually you see these are all upright and kind of how I have my road bike set up. It's got a suspension seat post. You know, this is a comfort endurance road bike. It's just a practical country bike, you know, riding around on country roads, which luckily out here we don't have a whole lot of traffic, so we can do pretty safely compared to the rest of the urbanized world. Anyway, you combine all those things and these customers are rarer than hen's teeth. So that gives us an opportunity to do quite a tune-up to this here road bike and get it working better than brand new, which might be a little tricky. The Sora triple drivetrain that's on this bike is notoriously difficult to set up, and then I can just tell by the amount of miles that's on this bike, and these shifters, they do wear out, and then they're so expensive to replace that then you really do start thinking about maybe just modernize things. But I think we can get away with replacing the cables and housing and that kind of thing, and at least get another couple good seasons out of this bike. So, I think it's time to get started. Kick back and relax. Let's go. Yeah, I can feel just by shifting down into my little and little like I do, I can feel in those shifters that things are gummy. I can loosen up the brakes, pop these wheels off and set them aside, per the usual. You can see all this dust. This has been ridden out on the Glacial Drumlin bike trail. It's crushed limestone, so I get a lot of bikes in here that are nice and dusty like this. Kind of gets all over everything. Anyway, we're replacing these cables, so you might as well cut them. And then one of these days, I'm going to get a bolt cutter so I can just cut these old chains off. I measured this chain when the customer brought it in for service, and it is just starting to get stretched out. So we thought we'd replace the chain for 25 bucks instead of the chain and cassette later for 25 plus 35 bucks. Yeah, these Sora shifters and front derailleurs on these big triple chain rings, there's just a lot going on, and sometimes they're great. Hopefully this one's just set up and I don't have to futz with it too much, but sometimes it can really be a pain in the butt. Yeah, these bikes came out of the Lance era when charity rides started getting really popular and everybody got into road biking like overnight. Yeah, you can see with these oh shit brake levers, these inline brake levers here, it kind of, you know, makes it like a mountain bike or a hybrid, even though it's a road bike. Here's a wireless computer. I can probably save you from that rant. I hate those things, and yeah, it's dead, you know. They'll be back asking for a battery, and I'll tell them, I don't touch them. I hate those things. They never work. I hate them. Hate, hate, hate. There's so much hate in this world. That's why. These shift levers, anytime you have road shift levers and the cables are coming out the side like that, you want to replace these cables with every tune-up. These are fine, but you often see them, they start to fray because the angle that they take is really sharp and they just wear out. I mean, it all depends on how much shifting you do, and the right ones break quicker than the left ones, but that's always an important thing. So we're going to do that anyway on this bike, but I do it with every tune-up with that style of shifter. So I'm going to skip right ahead. I'm going to use some Finish Line speed degreaser. This is kind of the heavy duty degreaser. Just get it in there. And it's kind of risky to be doing this without a cable, because if it gets stuck one way, you can see it's not really shifting. Maybe I should wait till I get a cable in there again. Yeah, you can see the, well, I can see as this flushes out, it's like black coming out of it. There we go, now it's doing its thing. So there's little pawls in there on really fine springs that engage those gears to get all the clicking noises. And they were lubricated 25 years ago in the factory, and that lubrication gets coagulated over time. And then your clicks go away, and you just kind of have to flush out that old lube with the degreaser, work things a little bit. Okay, and then, yeah, you can see that black just kind of come out. Okay, that dries things out a little bit, and then I take one step, which is like a cleaner and degreaser, and just squirt it in there. Try to get it all over everything. It's always a good idea to have glasses on doing this too. You can squirt yourself in the face pretty easily. Although, I ain't blind yet. More than one way to go blind, guys, if you know what I'm talking about. We're going to replace the housing too. So with these especially, a groove will form in there, and that can be tricky with these shifters with the Sora. It's just start with new cables and housing with dealing with the Sora stuff, and you can avoid yourself some serious hassle. You know, they brought it in for the ultimate service, which is like new everything, take it apart, blah, blah, blah. And like, I just don't see enough wrong with these brakes, and I don't feel a whole lot going on with the cables. Like, there's no corrosion. Right? So this came as a pair. And of course, I did the other one, and it was a great video. And then hastily, I reformatted my memory card and lost all the footage. So I'm only getting one video out of it. But I mean, even that I can tell, you know, woke things up a little bit. So, oh, there's the W word. Can't say that anymore. Elon's gonna come get me. Oh boy. And so we're gonna lube the cable quick here too. Man, is that word triggering or what? People don't know what to do with it. So this is the rear brake cable. And it is a stainless cable. So all we're doing is making it a little bit more slickerier. Slicker than snot on a doorknob. Can't cheat our way through the front brake. Gotta do it the long, old-fashioned way. Tri-Flow Superior Lubricant. Drop a little bit in the pivots up here. Why not, you know? Apply liberally. Oh, I said the L word. Oh, it's gonna trigger some of you too. Man, so much you can't say anymore. Whatever happened to free speech? I tell you what. It's the New World Order. We don't get to do that anymore. A little bit in the pivots here. Okay, I got things at a weird angle here. I'm gonna try to get some lube down in that cable housing. Kind of cheat my way through this. I think it's actually more of a housing issue. Yeah, these inline levers make everything worse and harder. They're just not a good idea. Seem like a good idea, but they're not. Okay, it might be that this caliper has a little bit of juice. Oh, it's working pretty good now. Yeah, okay. It just needed some time for the lube to start working. You know, the thing is with growing the sport, or, you know, getting everybody into cycling that wasn't into cycling is, you know, you end up with products like this with inline brake levers, which aren't needed. And it's just a way to get regular people and turn them into cyclists. And I know, as a shop owner and bike guy, like, I'm supposed to be into that sort of thing, but I'm into the bikes. I like the machines, and I find those to be more problematic. They're not real solutions. It's like, it's a solution looking for a problem, you know, and that just goes against my ethos. I don't like it. Hey bike farmers, just a quick note while there's a lull in the action. If you've made it this far, I assume you liked the video enough to click the like button. If you really like it, let us know in the comments below. And if you're into bicycle content for regular people, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're able to support more directly, click on the super thanks button and send me some taco money. Or better yet, join the channel as a monthly sustaining member. All of these things will help grow the channel organically and give the Bike Farmer YouTube channel a strong future. Thanks again for watching. Now let's get back to the bikes. So, both of these water bottle holders are broken. And like I said, there's two bikes, and I already know they're going to come in under budget. So I'm going to go ahead and replace these. I forgot to mention it before, but Behold Furniture Polish is my favorite bike polish. It really does a good job of cleaning. You know, when a bike is just dusty, it's not all greasy and like totally covered in filth, you can usually just use it and get things really pretty clean. Okay, I got a little bit of grease on the threads here. And I should have a 5mm ready to go, and I don't. Oh, can I reach it? Ooh. Oh. Yeah, that road cycling boom around the Lance Armstrong time was really interesting. You know, you get a lot of people all of a sudden riding road bikes, and, you know, they just didn't really understand how bicycles work. So they're riding all over in traffic, getting in the way, and I think it did a lot to add to the, you know, anti-bike sentiment with drivers out there, you know, that we're all disrespectful or entitled. I really wish it was different. Oh, I dropped that bolt, and there it is. And, you know, I mean, it's nothing against people. Like, I can tell the owner of this bike, you know, has like actually been riding and taking good care of it, actually. So it's not all of them, right? I mean, it's just not that way. But in general, that's the kind of people that started getting into cycling, and it sucks because it really messed things up, I think. You know, on one hand, you had a professional American cyclist on the cover of Sports Illustrated getting Sportsman of the Year, you know. This was right before he was busted. And everybody wanted to be like Lance, you know, like, oh my God, he came back from cancer and won the Tour and all that, you know, and they're buying bikes like this because it says Trek on the side of it, and that's what Lance rode, you know, and that's pretty cool and everything, but it didn't come without a social cost, I think. I mean, you had to be pretty hardcore back in the day to be a road cyclist, and you were like the culture, you know, it was a cycling culture thing. And all of a sudden it was like mainstream activity. It's pretty wild, really, how quickly things can change. Yeah, when I started working at the bike shop in Madison in 1996, so like my first main years there were like 1996 through 2001 or so, and you couldn't hardly give away a road bike. And then Lance started coming around, and I got my first like real job, you know, out of college, and there were a couple people there that were like picking up a road bike. And I was like, really? You know, like regular people, oops. You know, just general regular people all of a sudden out, you know, doing 60-mile road bike rides after work. I was like, that's incredible, you know, that it was. I'm like, oh my God, you went out and spent, you know, $1,500 on a road bike? Yeah, of course. You know, got my favorite bike shop and all that. I just was baffled by it, that was popular. Still am, frankly, even though that's what I like to do. It just seems like not a very mainstream activity in general. But one way that bike companies got regular people to buy road bikes is by putting levers up here, you know, the oh shit suicide levers. You know, make them really easy to get to, like the mountain bike they had in college. They lured you in. They suckered you into it. It's all marketing. Gimmickry. They only come on the lower end bikes. You know, if you ever see something that's only offered on lower end bikes, it's not needed. And it's generally going to cause you more problems in the long run than solving the little thing that's making things uncomfortable for you. And as many of you know, I'm a golfer too. I also play a lot of golf. And when I moved on to jobs, I eventually ended up with like an outside sales job. I sold chemicals for a living, high purity toxic chemicals, and played a lot of golf. And I was never invited to like go for a bike ride, but I've heard it said, you know, that cycling was the new golf. I think that was more of like a Silicon Valley tech thing, you know, where it's like, oh, you know, we're all going for a bike ride after work and go talk business on your bike ride, you know, like guys would do on the golf course. You know, I don't think Donald Trump was doing real estate deals on a bicycle. I don't think that guy's ever ridden a bicycle. Still, to this day, I haven't had anybody give me proof that he's ever been on a bike. Okay, so this is stripped out. Great. Absolutely wonderful. First of all, I didn't do it. As soon as I loosened this, I was like, something's wrong. Oh, I dropped my wrench. You guys, I feel a meltdown coming at me right now. Come on. I want the electric screwdriver to work. Okay. So good. We can go find a nut and just replace the nut. Anyway, this is what I get for talking trash about Lord Trump. Probably gonna lose viewers now too. Ugh. This world is impossible. Look at that though. Look at how quickly I got out of that jam. Boom, that is better than brand new. Cycling was so popular that Donald Trump started the Tour de Trump. Look at that up. There's a reason you've never heard of it. Oh my God. So something I'm gonna do quick is I'm gonna grab that derailleur, and then I'm shifting up into the big ring with the lever, and that kind of pre-stretches the cable and sets those ferrules in place. And I grab my absolute favorite needle nose. Oh, man, that was a lot of slack. Okay, we're pulling it tight. I backed the barrel adjuster on the down tube out just a little bit, so I have a couple of turns of adjustment, so I can loosen that if needed. Okay, we'll bend that like yow. Alright. And here we go. grab your derailleur, shift your lever all the way up. You can also just kind of grab the cable and pull. And like these ferrules, so the housing just got sucked into the ferrules. You can see how much slack. So these here brake pads are not Phillips, and they're also not JIS number 2. Okay, it's not 2.5. It is 2 millimeters. There we go. Just a tiny little guy. Okay, you back that out, and then the pad slides out that way. Grab your favorite needle nose. Pull it out. Okay, and then the new ones just slide right in. Then you don't have to do an adjustment. It's kind of nice. They're already there. Assuming they were right to begin with. I mean, we'll find out. That just kind of keeps them from backing themselves out for people that ride down mountains backwards. You know, back on those shift cables, I've stopped doing it, but back when I was first starting out, I would go work those, you know, weekend, Saturday charity bike rides where everybody'd show up with road bikes like this one. Some people were still doing it. This was like 5 years ago. A lot of those rides are just way smaller or gone. You know, I mean, it's just really died off. Gravel biking has picked up, but it hasn't replaced it. And the gravel bikers tend to be like more hardcore cyclists, more than the weekend warrior types. But anyway, I did a local weekend warrior brewery ride, and you know, I'd show up. You know, I was invited to come. You know, as if I was given the opportunity to like get good exposure for the shop, or the bike mobile is primarily why I went, because a lot of the riders came from Madison, and that's where I had a lot of my business in the bike mobile. Anywho, you set up and then provide, you know, free, I call them safety checks, but a lot of other bike shops call it free tune-ups, which I think is a misnomer and very dangerous, because the expectation is set that you're there to, you know, fix someone's shitty bike for free. And I know the kinds of bikes that show up, right? A lot of entry-level road bikes, and so, you know, they can be problematic. A lot of Sora triple, a lot of, you know, this style of shifter. And so I had a lady, whoop, look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I had a lady come, and she had this style of shifter, and I was explaining to her, you know, that it's probably a good idea to replace those cables sooner than later, and I wasn't going to do it today because I got a whole line of people, and they were just like, there's 20 people deep behind her waiting to get this safety check. And I grabbed onto her shifter and shifted the bike once, and that cable snapped right inside the shifter, right in front of her, with 20 people in line. And I was just like, oh shit, because if they snap inside the shifter, it's new shifter time. Seriously, all I did is this, you know, I mean, just a basic shift. Just because I was running through the bike, you know, to check it out, make sure it was working for free service. I'm glad I did that, because I just found a bunch of slack in that cable. Anyway, I wasn't happy about it at all. I felt really bad, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a replacement shifter. I don't have the time to dig this out of here because there's 20 people in line. You're gonna have to ride with just, you know, whatever gear we can put it in. We're gonna put some new tires, some extra tough anti-puncture belt, Super Sport Plus Continental. Bleh. I'm gonna sit down here on Woody Charleson's lap, do some tire swapping. Anyway, the lady was not understanding at all about that situation. She was livid. I was fully responsible for everything. What was I doing there? If I was just going to put people's bikes in the stand and break them, blah, blah, blah. Just completely unreasonable. It was awful. I mean, I like had to ask her to move along, and I was like, you're being very selfish now. I'm like, I was going to help you, now I won't. You know, like, you're on your own. You know, if you're gonna be like that, then you're on your own. You know, it was awful, but it just put such a bad taste in my mouth. You know, I'm like, this is why cyclists have such a bad reputation. It is annoying to have to wait for a cyclist on the road. It's like, yeah, we have every right to be there, but we can't be pretentious pricks about it either. And, you know, she was just so entitled. I mean, just totally fit that stereotype. This little Trek 1000C has triggered me. I mean, it's not all of them. It's not everybody. This is why I avoid cyclists, you know, quote unquote cyclists, and I made videos about it. It can just be too much. You know, there's a lot of people that got into it that came at it from the wrong standpoint, you know, like, you know, just you know, because they're a triathlete, you know, like, not because they want to ride a bike, but because they want to compete at a high level. And, you know, they're in it for like, it's like an ego-based involvement. And that's very different than just wanting to enjoy yourself on a bike because they're freaking awesome. You know, it's like, it's different. It's really hard to articulate, but for any of my regular viewers that are watching this and you're wondering, God, what's Andy's problem today? I don't really have one. I gotta be honest with you. It is the afternoon. I usually make these videos in the morning, and I'm usually in a better mood in the morning than in the afternoons. I'm mad at myself and taking it out on this bike and all of the cyclists that have ever lived because I, in haste, deleted some really good footage on her husband's bike. You know, this is her bike. He got his sitting over here. It's beautiful. Beautiful entry-level green Schwinn thing. It was a great video. Good footage. You know, kept my little Trump remarks, you know, to a minimum in that one. You know, it wasn't so bad. You know, you guys could have gotten through it. But I deleted it, so I'm mad at myself for that. Because now I got to do this bike. But I owed it. He wanted the bikes. We got a nice weather coming up, so I told him I'd get them done. I wanted to get it done today, so you can come pick them up tomorrow and have it for the weekend. And, you know, that whole thing. So it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You know, I'm generally on this channel. I'm like you know this about me, that I prefer entry-level bikes. It's just road bikes from this era tend to be problematic, and they only fit 25 millimeter tires like this one. That's really hard to put on, and this tube is just the wrong size. I don't know why I'm bothering with it. You know, I thought this would be a good candidate for an Is It Worth It video, you know, because these aren't the most expensive tires. They're really high quality. I'm impressed with them. I think I'm kind of underselling them at $35 a piece. So it's only $70 worth of tires. And then chain is 25 bucks, and pads are 20. You know, and labor, I think I can get away with $140 labor on this bike. Although I'm gonna sit here and wrestle with this tire for 4 hours, so, but that's my fault because I picked the tire. So we're gonna come in just shy of like 300 bucks, but an entry-level road bike these days is like $900. And you really aren't gonna benefit much from it. You know, you'd be able to fit some wider tires, that's the main thing. But then, you know, you might as well just take the leap and get a gravel bike. But anyway, they love these bikes and they ride them all the time and they're excited about the weather turning, and I like that. This brim is just about shot. So in that development that I'm just noticing now, yeah, she might only have a season or two left on this. It's probably still worth it. What a tight fit. These tires are terrible. I'm like sweating. This is half the video. My God. And of course there's Velox tape in there, taking up all that real estate in the valley of the rim. It's gonna be the title of the first Bike Farmer full-length feature film, Valley of the Rim. And it's gonna be me like sweating profusely, swearing about shitty old road bikes and Velox tape. My stepdaughter texted me today from college saying, did you know that the original name of the bike is a velocipede? That's a much better name than bicycle. And she's not wrong. And I, in my cynical nature, replied, yes, of course I knew that, first of all. But also, yes, it's a much better name. However, the name Velo is way, way overused in the bike world. And it's the French word for bicycle. I mean, but Velo is a Latin prefix, I guess, for fast, velocity, you know, swift, and velocipede, peda, or peds, is foot. So it's actually swift foot. So a bicycle is a swift foot, which I think that's pretty great. Should have named the channel Swift Footin' with Andy Q. Well, it is the next morning. There was a little bit of a break there. I don't know, am I still wearing the same clothes? Probably, I don't know. Oh man, my phone's in my pocket. Put that up here. So, where were we? Oh yeah, front tire. Here's what's happening. So, you know, I replaced that other tube because these are too big, and these are too big because these tires are 28 millimeter and the tires I'm putting on are 25. And this is the same thing that happened with the other bike that I deleted all the footage for. And I just feel like I'm cutting corners because I don't have the right parts in stock and it's not the right thing to do. So that and the fact that, you know, this rim was so thin and it's just kind of worn out. I didn't catch it on when I was doing the service riding on check-in. I figured I'd do the right thing and go see if I can buy some right size tires and let the customer know what's happening and see if they want to replace that rear wheel and just do the right thing. Take a break, because we got to do that sometimes because we don't always get it right and so on and so forth. But I know that the customer like really wants the bike back this weekend too because it's going to get nice and he wants to go for a ride. So I took a break and I walked away from it and started to think about all that stuff. Now, for the purpose of this video, I am going to put this 25 millimeter tire on, even though the customer said they want the 28 millimeter tires, which will be here now tomorrow. And so I'm gonna do the tune-up. Everything's gonna be great on this bike. We're gonna kick a lot of ass with it. And I'm gonna put the tire on just because I hate myself and I feel like I need to be punished. Probably, because these tires are punishing. Meanwhile, while all that was happening, I got a text that changed everything. And so I've got a heavy head now. So now I do have a good excuse to be grumpy and cynical and in a bad mood. It is March 6th and spring is right around the corner, and this starting to get repairs in the shop. People are reaching out about buying bikes. You know, bike season is literally right around the corner. And I had a plan, and I had a guy lined up to start in 2 weeks. And so I had texted him the other day. I'm like, hey, I think we can start in 2 weeks if you want to put in your 2 weeks at your job and, you know, come back like you said you would. And he was like, great. That was a couple days ago. And then he's got some life stuff going on that I've known about. And so I kind of felt like it was coming, but I, you know, didn't know it was coming. And he's like, I can't make it work out. So he's not coming back, which I totally understand, right? Like, I get it. Bike shop jobs are kind of a labor of love. You know, he doesn't live close, it's not convenient. And, you know, I just can't, this shop is so small. I just don't make enough where I can like really afford to pay somebody, you know, like real job wages. It's, you know, it works if you can like live at home or have a spouse with a real job, and you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's decent. You know, for the right guy, I can pay $20 an hour or whatever. But in today's economy, you know, these little working class jobs don't pay the bills. And maybe it's not a little working class job. It used to be, but that was like 50 years ago. So, I don't know, just, it's so hard. I want to have a bike shop here in town. And a lot of you know my story, and I literally spent most of my life, you know, up until I was, 35? No, not quite. Even older than that, almost 40. I said, you can't make a living having a bike shop in Lake Mills. And I thought that I solved it. And I did, frankly. You know, I had the bike mobile, and that would supplement it, so it was possible to have a bike shop here in Lake Mills. Now I have this channel, which also makes it possible to have the shop. And the two kind of work in tandem, right? Like I can bring in these bikes for repair and make videos, and then, you know, essentially sell those videos to YouTube. It's pretty much what I'm doing. And then, you know, get money from the repair, and it's enough to pay the bills and make a living, right? But I have to do both. But if I'm stuck working in the bike shop 40 hours a week, I can't be making videos too. Like, I need to be free to do what I need to do. So I need a guy, and it's really hard to hire an experienced mechanic to come to Lake Mills, which is a half hour from anything fun. You know, like, bike mechanics live in cities. They don't, and they're young and want to have fun, and it's just not something that happens here in Lake Mills very easily. So it's been really hard to hire for that position. So when I lose a guy, it's crisis mode, and it's, you know, bike season's right around the corner. So that is on my mind today. Now, I put out feelers and getting some responses. It could just not be that big of a deal, so I shouldn't get ahead of myself. But I am considering a lot of things right now. And I am reconsidering my choice to put this tire on, because this is totally pointless, because tomorrow the new tires are going to come. I'm just going to have to take them off anyway. But here's the interesting video for you. I want to get a video out. That's, you know, the show must go on. Thank God I've got you guys. That's what I'm saying. Because if this would have happened last year, when the channel wasn't established yet, really, I would be freaking out right now. Like, do I go get a job? You know, it could be worse. It's not total crisis mode. It's just things are difficult. Why did I just tighten that? I'm distracted. This is when mistakes are made. I think our OPE rate will go up. All right, terrible decision making. What have I done to deserve this treatment? So here we are up in the truthing stand with an untrue wheel. We already know this one kind of has its problems. It's very thin sidewalls. So I kind of feel like everything that happened yesterday and how my life totally shifted in a big way, you know, a big temporary way. You know, it's not like anybody died or nobody's leaving anybody or, you know, nobody's in the hospital, so it's fine. But, you know, I'm scrambling. But if you remember, like October, I put out a video, should I quit? You know, should I quit to focus on YouTube, basically? You know, there's always a tipping point. Every business owner, it's like you've got these tipping points where it's like, do you take that leap? You know, is it time for another risk? And lately, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I enjoy the YouTube game more than the bike retail game, for sure. And I see much more potential there, frankly. So sensibly, you know, I've got myself convinced that that's the direction I should be headed. However, you're thinking what everybody else is thinking. You're like, oh, you're nuts. You know, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, don't make any big decisions. You don't give up the bike shop. But if the bike shop's what's holding me back, then you have to give it up. So it's a real pickle. And I don't want to give it up because this town needs a bike shop. And I'm the guy to do it. This is my community, and I don't know. For better or worse, probably worse. Custy? I take that into consideration, and that's meaningful to me. So, you know, what do? I'm willing to make some sacrifice to make it work. You know, if I have to sit down here and keep the shop open for the busy season, make a shit ton of money in a couple months, not play as much golf, I can do it. I've done it the last, 2 or 3 years, since my first guy left, and I've been struggling to find help. But it's no fun, and I'm kind of burnt out, and YouTube has provided me that out. Now, it's like I could focus full on bike farmer, and I, you know, kind of feel ungrateful to not have that be obvious, because I've done better and have more than a lot of people that have tried to do the same thing. It's been more successful than most, and I'm grateful for that, and I have not lost sight of that. However, it has its limits, because most of you guys watching this right now are into it for the bikes. And as much as I love bikes and they are central to my entire existence, it's not the only thing I'm into. Also, I have some very strong opinions, worldview, values that are not mainstream. And some of the things that I say and believe tend to be polarizing. And the expectation of this channel is that I'm neutral. And I like to keep it as neutral as possible, even though I poke fun and I'm sarcastic and satirical or whatever. But I want to respect that for you guys and have this be a nice neutral place, and where you don't have to be bombarded with my prickliness or whatever, right? So I know a lot of you are into it, and that's why you watch, and you know, won't go away completely. But these are the things I think of. Like, if I wanted to take Bike Farmer next level, I got to be able to like say what I want, when I want, all this stuff. So what most creators do is start a second channel. And I think the time has come for me to start a second channel. So I'm considering it, and I've been thinking about it a lot. I just got back from a trip out west, another one, and I spent a lot of time talking about it with people and thinking about it. And then yesterday, I always take an afternoon nap. You know, that's how this whole thing started, right? Is watching Bob Ross and being like, I could do that. You know, it's been years. And it's like meditation for me. You know, I think it's really good for my health, but, you know, after lunch, I watch a little YouTube. And one popped up yesterday, and it was, what's the state of YouTube in 2025 kind of video. And the guy kind of broke down some of the changes into the algorithm and things that other creators are seeing out there. And then went on to, you know, be like, if I was starting a YouTube channel in 2025, I would design it as such and make these types of videos. And what he described is exactly what I've been thinking. And I was like, how serendipitous is that the algorithm found me, right? I don't know, they must be listening to me or something, but either this guy knows how to tell people what they want to hear, is just trying to make a buck, but he seemed very earnest and sincere and trustworthy. It wasn't just a clickbaity kind of video, or some of them are, right? And I feel like I can tell, and you know, like I know that some people can't, but I'm always skeptical and trying to like check my own biases, and I'm very, what do you call it? I understand the risks of confirmation bias, despite what most of you commenters say. I'm just like some brainwashed lefty whatever, I don't know. I'm fully aware of all that stuff and really pay attention, but it really spoke to me and got me thinking. I'm like, I got to get this second channel going. I have a name picked out and all this stuff. I just have to start making videos. That's how you start any channel, is just start making videos. So all of this is kind of what I originally thought Bike Farmer would be. And the name Bike Farmer is, because fixing bikes is just a small part of what I do. I do a lot of things. I have this little micro prairie out here that I'm always trimming up and doing stuff to, and my garage, I did this huge garage project that I've just kind of finished, but it's always kind of going. I want to buy an old car and fix that. I have this land over here. I want to build a shed. I have all these other projects that I do, and I'm always doing as much as I can myself, watching YouTube videos and getting it done and just doing stuff. And then, I travel, I hike, I ride bikes, I play golf. I bought that fishing boat last year, and I want to get that out and give the outboard a tune-up. I've never done that stuff, right? And one of the things that this guy said is if you're a projector like I am, and you don't really know what you're doing and you're learning, those videos are really hot right now. That it's watch me work, but it's also watch me do it wrong. And so the channel, the actual username of the channel, I've called Instead of Working, because that's a big part of it too, is I do all of this instead of having a job, instead of actually working for a living. But it's a lot of work to not have jobs, so it's play on words. And then I haven't quite thought of the channel name yet. Instead of Working could work. It could just be Instead of Working. I just looked at it this morning, and the tentative name of the new channel would be Doing It Wrong, or Doing It All Wrong. Doing it all wrong? But I could see myself doing these projects and just having a mic clipped on or whatever, figuring out a way, use my action cam and just setting it up and, just kind of bringing you guys along as I figure out how to make all this work without ever having a job, and just building a world around me that I'm able to monetize in ways that pay the bills. Because to me, that's freedom. And I still struggle to meet people that live as freely as I do, with as much freedom. That's part of the reason I like YouTube so much, is it really truly is an open, free market. And it's regulated, what we can say and do and get away with here, which I also think is really important, but it's very egalitarian. Anybody can jump in and anybody can succeed, and everybody's treated equally. You just got to make good videos. And I think what I'm hearing from you guys in the comments over and over again is a lot of you come not just for the bikes, that's part of it, but you come for me, and which is just mind-boggling to me and everybody who's ever known me. But it makes sense. I guess I'm likable. So why wouldn't you watch that? I think I'm going to start the second channel, and I think I should do it soon. Also, I've had, and many of you know this if you've been watching and seen some of my other videos, Bike Farmer, part of my success is that I've committed, soft personal commitment, to 2 videos a week for 2 years, and sometime in April or May, that 2 years is up. So I can do 1 video a week, Bike Farmer, which is what most creators do, and then do 1 video a week for the other channel. And while it's really unfortunate that I can't express, displeasure with American politics in any sort of way, or, even I couldn't express hey, I like that, without risking, cancellation by enough people where it convinces the algorithm that I'm diehard leftist or whatever. And so they stop showing my videos to certain types of people. This new channel, I can just be upfront about who I am, what I am, and I don't have to worry about getting canceled for 1 comment or whatever, you know what I mean? People will know what I'm about on that other channel, so it wouldn't put Bike Farmer at risk, because I feel like I'm putting it at risk for a lot of you who are oh, we don't care about politics, we don't want to hear that, we just want bike stuff, and I want to respect that, and I don't feel like I can right now. And that's not to say that all the videos over there are just going to be me whining about politics while I'm building a shed. That's not how I want to live my life either. But I do want to be able to make funny jokes about the absurdity of life in America. openly and freely without fear of losing my livelihood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 speeds. Woody Charleston's lap. You know, and I would suspect that the content on the other channel will be a lot like what just happened for the last 10 minutes or so, where, you know, I'm talking about something topical and you just kind of watch me do what I'm doing. I can just bring a camera with me and, you know, take a little break and tell you what I'm doing here. You know, like every once in a while I'll count the number of cogs so I know which chain to grab, you know, and you guys will get this picture, you know, you'll follow the story of my project. I'll talk about the project and I'll talk about life and myself and what's going on, and, you know, it'll be kind of vloggy but informative, and I don't know. I mean, it sounds like good content to me, and it sounds like a fun project to do. Like, that sounds like a fun way to spend my time. Take you out to the golf course and be like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work on my golf swing and talk you through how I'm working on my golf swing. I don't know, maybe you'd learn something. Maybe you'd learn you hate me. Who cares, right? Okay, so what I'm doing here is little, and then I pull the chain and I get it just to the point where that derailleur back there goes tunk-clink. That's the noise it makes. And then I find the right linky poo to removey poo. Linky poo. That's like drinky poo. Mr. Leahy. Trailer Park Boys. Any Trailer Park Boys fans out there? Holy shit, do I like that show. That's so funny. That's what I gotta do. I gotta watch some Trailer Park Boys today to loosen my brain up, lighten the load a little bit. There you go, kids. Okay, so I've got the barrel adjusters here and on the down tube totally maxed out right now, and this cable's just a little tight. So I'm gonna grab this, and then I'm pushing on the cable in the down tube and really just kind of stretching it out. That should create some slack. Why is that jumping around? I'm gonna go into the middle chain ring here so things aren't so noisy. It's just making a little bit of noise. We don't like that. Okay, so this is the high gear and this is the low gear. This is the high limit, this is the low limit. I think that the high limit screw is pushed in too far. Well, let's wait. We're gonna look to see. Okay, things are straight. I'm eyeballing it. You could just put the derailleur alignment gauge on here and skip all this, but I'm gonna do it the hard way, the dumb way. And I'm gonna loosen this, which will relax the derailleur. It's gonna pull the chain my way just a little bit. Oh, it's so much quieter. So that was it. Limit screw. Okay, see how slow that was to shift? That's a loose cable. We're gonna turn this out 1 1/4 turns, 1 3/8. See, in the other channel, I would be just ranting about how I would vote for a third Donald Trump term if he switched America to metric. There, I said it out loud. Okay, so this is Sora triple bullshit land. Okay, we're getting all kinds of rubbing there. And I will show you quick. The barrel adjuster for the front derailleur is right here. And I had turned it out a bunch of turns when I tightened this cable down. Okay, and I did that just for this reason, because now I can turn this in and slack that cable and relax that derailleur a little bit to stop that rubbing. And that's because these shifters do not have a trim shift in them. And a trim shift is a lot of times on a triple and even on the doubles, when you're here, you can kind of half press one of the levers and make a half shift. Okay, so just by turning that barrel adjuster in a little bit, here, I'll tighten it back up. So it was like this, it's rubbing. So I'm turning the barrel adjuster in just to there, right? And that relaxes the derailleur so it stops rubbing. Now, check the high gear and back, and it's not rubbing. Okay, that's always gonna rub. Now, yeah, so there's no trim shift. Like on newer shifters, there's a half click where it would stop there, you know, so it's like in between gears, but not shifting, okay? So really what we're talking about is just not wanting any rubbing there, no rubbing there, it's not throwing the chain. That's cross-chained and not rubbing. And that's high gear and not rubbing, but maxed out. And I don't know which one of these is high and which one's low. Yeah, just back that out just a smidge. Let's see if it overshifts now. It's not throwing chains. That's as good as you'll ever see a 3x8 Sora setup. Super good stuff right there. I am so good at what I do. But I was spraying one step on everything, but the bottle is really low. And I'm too lazy to just walk in the other room and get a new bottle, so I'm using Tri-Flow because it essentially does the same thing. Like, Tri-Flow is gonna clean and lube too, right? It's wet. Wet things clean. Tri-Flow is a little bit gooier of a lube. You know, it's Teflon based. I love it. I love Tri-Flow. I love how it smells. A lot of people don't. It's like cilantro, you know, or arugula. Actually, I have no idea what arugula is. I think I do. It's like a rutabaga or asparagus. It's a combination of the two. Okay, so this bar tape is a god-awful mess and needs to be replaced. They just kind of went willy-nilly on this electrical tape. You know, when I finish electrical tape, I like it to just be one width, a couple wraps around. None of this like all over the place gooiness. You know, like look at this, it's awful. It's gross. I've got some giant contact gel. This is my $20 mid-range tape option. Always good enough for who it's for. Okay, and then I just kind of load my pockets up with a scissors. Is that a pair of scissors? And here's a pair of electrical tape. And then we can kind of size that up. Right? Can stick a little whamma jamma right up in there. Okay, and that'll pop off in a second. Oh, and this one I took the stickum off first. And I take a roll. And I unwind it. And then I start down here and start wrapping. And go about halfway, a little bit more than halfway, 2/3. And just try to make it even all the way around with nice even tension. And in all the years of doing this, I still don't know the right way to navigate around the levers. But that felt pretty good that time. So I just do what feels good. Which is a nice way to live a life, you know? Just do what feels good. It'll catch up to you eventually, but man, till it does, that's a good life. Okay, I'm gonna get up here, and we're at the end. And then the way I think of it is, you draw a straight line, all right? So you cut an angle. Then you make your last wrap around. See? And it's like straight. Then you take your electrical tape, get it started. Now with the oh shit suicide levers, it's a little bit trickier. Like I said before, I like to get one width of electrical tape. So I really crank on that first one and make it super tight, kind of stretch everything out. And then the second one is just not all, you know, if you stretch it out and then cut it, it'll loosen up eventually, but that's just like good. That's all there is to it. That'll hold forever. And we'll just whoop up the other side quick. Oh, then you can put a plug in. The tape usually comes with plugs. So I always like to drop some tri-flow in the bolt heads. They get rusty, especially up here on top where you sweat on them. It just kind of keeps things from getting too out of hand. And it's always a good idea to check stem bolts. Yeah, those are all super tight. This bike has been tuned up a couple of times before, so I don't suspect that we'd have loose crank bolts. They are tight. Giant bar plugs. Hubs are good. Front brake is rubbing a smidge. Yeah, there's just something going on with it. The spring, things aren't moving real freely on this front brake. Let's make an adjustment. Go out and get yourself a nice medium size needle nose pliers and then grind the tip off of it so you get this kind of semi-snubby nosed deal. And you can really grab onto things that you're not supposed to grab onto. Do things with it that are questionable at best. Like taking the spring and really cranking on it. Okay, we're going to add some tension there. Picking up what I'm putting down, and then put that back home. That is way more better, hey. Yeah, sorry I'm in a grumpy mood with this video, folks. You know, we all have good days and bad days. And if this is my bad day, that's not so bad. You know, like I said, nobody's in the hospital, nobody died. All right, well, there it is. That is a tuned up road bike. New shift cables and housing, new pads, new chain, new tires. Just in time for the spring season here in southern Wisconsin. Bike season is upon us. I am clearly not prepared. In the midst of an existential crisis, sharing it with all of you, my best friends in the whole wide world. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Can't wait to read all the comments, what I should do, what I should be thinking about, encouraging me on a second channel. You know, I assume a bunch of you would jump over there. It'd be pretty easy to start, wouldn't it? Is this the bike to kick it off? You know, is this really a turning point in my life? Or is this just another bike video? Just another bike video. As if any of them are just another bike video. They're the best bike videos on the planet. You know that. I know that. If you agree with me, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Send me a super thanks. Make it, let's call it, is it still taco money? Let's call it, let's send me a super thanks for the future fund where we invest in the future. I don't know what I'm doing. Or join the channel. Your membership will get you early access to videos and a little star by your name. So if I see that, then I know you're a paying member and I will answer your questions when I see them in the comments. I don't see all of them, but I see most of them. Doesn't matter how dumb the question is, I'll answer it. And sometimes you'll even get a dumb answer because that's what dumb questions deserve. That old adage, there's no such thing as a dumb question, is wrong. There are many dumb questions, and I love to give dumb answers. So joining the channel will get you access to that. You can get your very own dumb answers to your dumb questions. Or, what else can you do? Oh, click that notification bell so you and your bikes can stay tuned.